Hey guys, welcome to this video. Today we are going to have a look at and road test this. This is the Life Proof Longwear foundation from MECCA. It was sent to me a couple of weeks ago and I've been playing around with it and have formed some opinions, and I thought that I would share those opinions with you as well as take you along on a road test of this product. So if you're keen on learning a little bit more about the Life Proof foundation, then please stay tuned. Alright, so this baby retails for $32 at MECCA Maxima stores. I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed at the shade range. There are only 8 shades available and they are all for lighter skin tones. So I really hope that as the MECCA Max brand expands and grows, that they will start catering for darker skin tones. Along with that, I've also got the concealer, which comes in 5 shades, same story there, and is retailing for $22. So I've been using these together for the past week or so, and I've got a fairly good idea of what I think about the foundation. Now, with most longwear foundations, skin preparation is paramount. You really need to make sure that your skin is very well hydrated. I found throughout the week that on days where my skin is very dehydrated, that the foundation just doesn't sit very well, but that goes for any foundations. That's not necessarily a negative of this product in particular. So the foundation, as I said, does retail above $30, and it is this sort of standard 30ml pack. It's a plastic bottle, and although it feels quite nice and heavy, we have a pump pack, and the pump actually releases quite a generous amount of foundation. So let's read the back of the bottle. We say, the last to leave the dance floor, expect super staying power, creamy buildable coverage, and a skin filter satin finish. I definitely agree. This is definitely a buildable product. It's definitely, how many times did I say definitely? It's it's not a full coverage product whatsoever. You'll see in my demo that I actually use 2 layers to build up to this finish, and still it's quite natural looking. It's definitely still showing through elements of my skin. So if you're after a more natural kind of finish but do want the long wear of a product, then this might be something you're interested in. It is very, very slippery and smooth on the skin, which makes me think that it definitely would have some sort of dimethicone in it. And I'm right. So we've got aqua psychopenthosilax, I don't know what that is, cyclosiloxane, dimethicone, dimethicone cross polymer, and so on. So silicone is definitely something that features very heavily in this product. So you might want to think about that when you think about your skin type, and also when you think about what sort of primer to use with the product. To cut a long story short, I actually really do like the foundation. I found that it's been quite good for me. It works well on my skin, my 30 plus skin, my dehydrated, combination oily and sometimes dry skin. So it works quite well, and it does tend to balance out everything that's happening on my face. However, I do find that, let's say on my skin, for example, where there are a few little patches of dry skin, there's a bit of dry skin happening there, and it did cling quite a bit to that. So keep in mind that that does happen, and also once you powder as well, that's going to have an effect as well. So as I said, I've gone ahead and applied the foundation as well as a whole bunch of other MECCA Max products to my face, skin, and I thought I would take you along with me as I applied all the products, and then on my wonderful sunny Sunday day. It's not that sunny, but let's see. So I've gone ahead and prepped my skin already. I've gone and used a moisturizer, and then I used these 2 primers from Smashbox to prime my skin. So I used the original just all over my face, and then I used the pore minimizing just around my nose and on my cheeks, because that's where I do have the largest pores. So fun fact, I actually tried to film this yesterday, but I sort of unintentionally self-sabotaged in that my skin was really in a poor condition yesterday. It was very, very dehydrated, and I feel like no matter what foundation I used yesterday, there wouldn't have been great results. So I actually kind of jumped ship halfway through and decided that I wasn't going to review it yesterday for you, because it just wasn't a true indication of the results I have been having with this. So this is a true review. I've been wearing this all week. So I guess just for the sake of showing something different, I'm going to do half of my face with a beauty sponge, which is what I typically wear, but on the other side I'm going to use a brush. This brush is like a dupe of those like Artiste kind of brushes, but I find that I like this one a lot more because you just hold it in your hand like that. And I've used this one a few times this week, and I've really liked the results. I'm just picking out, it is shedding just a little bit after washing it, but it's not too much of a problem. So like I said, one side I'll do beauty sponge, one side brush. Let's start off with the brush, and I'm going to apply 2 pumps of the foundation to my hand. And let's go ahead and try and blend this in. Well, I really like this brush for how it applies makeup and gives a really seamless, smooth finish. I have to say that I don't really like how much foundation it actually absorbs. I think this probably absorbs even more foundation than a sponge. So that's something to keep in mind when applying the foundation. I feel like the foundation does oxidize slightly as it dries, so keep that in mind when you purchase. And as you can probably see, it's giving a very, very natural kind of amount of coverage. And I have found that for my personal preference, 2 layers is where it's at. So you do end up using quite a bit of foundation. I'm not sure if you can see any difference between the brush side and the sponge side. All right, so let's try 2 more pumps. It's got a really nice silky feel to it. It doesn't feel too drying, but just like with all Longwear, or just like all foundations, really preparation of the skin will really determine how it wears. So you can see second layer makes quite a difference. Has anyone ever tried using these brushes wet? Does that make a difference? Leave me a comment down below. I like how it looks with both methods. In both cases, it's really like melted into the skin and doesn't look like anything is sort of sitting on top of the skin. This color is slightly off for me, it's a little dark, but I'm going to go ahead and use it anyway, just for the sake of testing out the foundation and the concealer together. So this is the Life Proof Cream Concealer, and this shade is Nude 3.5. I probably needed like a 3.0. So this is not going to do a great job of highlighting, but it will, because it's a little bit darker, help to cover darkness. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to, but on a normal day, if this was the case, I would apply a little bit of lighter concealer on top of this. And I'm going to use my sponge. That's doing okay to cover, but like I said, it's the wrong shade. I'm going to use the Life Proof setting powder, the invisible setting powder from MECCA as well. This comes in 2 forms, so there's either the loose or the pressed. Obviously the pressed is a lot easier to take with you on the go, but this one is a lot easier. I kind of prefer a loose powder. So that's what the pressed one looks like. So it's one of those really finely milled white powders. I haven't really used this one, so I might go ahead and just use this one today. And I'm going to use a sponge just to set underneath my eyes. Now this might be a mistake, but we'll see how we go. Actually, that looks really good. Wow. And I'm going to actually do the same all over my face, because it's actually done a really great job at filling in lines and blurring the skin. I'm so impressed. I've been using the loose powder all week and I found that it's quite good, but it can make the skin look a little dry. And I kind of regret not using this throughout the week, because this, I think, this method with the sponge, it seems to be working really, really well with this formula. Okay, so 10 out of 10 recommend pressing this powder in. Sunlit Skin bronzer. A mini blush in Gold Glow. And the Skin Halo Diamond Dust in Rose Gold. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my eyes with the MECCA Max Shimmer Shots palette. I've gone ahead and put some mascara and done my brows as well. And then for lips, I'm using the A-Lister liquid lipstick in the shade Skinny Latte. This is a really liquidy liquid lipstick. Probably should have used a liner. I'm going to go ahead and settle all that powder down with the Hangover 3-in-1 setting spray / everything else it does from Too Faced. Okay, so it is roughly 1:10. We've had a late start to the day. It's a Sunday. We had to sleep in and then I just did some stuff around the house. And so I'm still going to wear it for a fair amount of time. I'll go into the evening. It's quite warm outside and we'll see how this holds up. Now, in my experiences so far, the foundation has held up quite well. It has worn away a little bit around the nose, but we'll see how it goes today in today's conditions. I thought I'd give you a look of how this looks in very natural light. I'm in my bathroom, which is always not the best lighting. So you can see that it looks like it's giving quite a nice look to my skin. I think that powder pressed in the way that I used it really did a great job of blurring everything, although you can still see some pores on the end of my nose, but that's also because I've highlighted that area. So it has settled in really, really well. I'm quite happy. I think it's given some great coverage, even though it still does look like it's definitely medium and it's not covered everything. So let's go ahead and live life and let's check in every now and then. It's past 6 p.m. and I thought I would use the last of the natural light today to just sort of show you how my skin's going. I think it's really settled in very, very well. You can still see pores and stuff like that, but that's okay. My natural skin is definitely showing through. It's not a full coverage foundation. You can tell I'm getting really tired. My eyes are getting all puffy. So I've been doing some work on the computer. I've changed clothes. I came home and I ended up doing some housework and stuff. So I've been in like a warm temperature and nothing's really melted. It definitely has like worked its way back into the skin. Like it's really sunk into it and there's nothing like on top of my skin. It just feels like it's almost like I'm wearing nothing at all. It doesn't feel like I'm wearing foundation. I think the big thing that I did, which has made it perform better today than it has any other day, is using the pressed powder and pressing it really hard into the foundation. That seems to have made a massive difference because every other day I've worn it, it has worn really well, but not as well as this. It's often moved a little bit away from the nose and around the mouth, and today it hasn't done that at all, and I do think it is that powder. So I'll check in at roughly 9 p.m. and that will then mean that I've been wearing it for about 9 hours, which I think is a fair amount of time. All right, here we are at the end of the evening. It's roughly 10 o'clock now. I think it's just before 10. And I'm here to give you my final thoughts on this foundation and the other bits and pieces that go with it. So it's roughly 10 hours ago that I applied the foundation, as well as the concealer and some of the powder and some other products, and I feel like my skin is still looking pretty good. It has worn away a little bit, it has become more greasy or a little bit more shiny, and I have blotted with a blotting paper throughout the day. So my thoughts on this foundation. I actually like the foundation. I think it's great for one of those days where you're going for quite a minimal look, or you're going for something that doesn't require or doesn't have too much sort of cover. I think I mean I really like the way my skin looked today. I feel like it looked quite fresh throughout the day. Even when oils did come through, it didn't completely dissolve, and the foundation didn't really shift around or anything like that. The negatives, I think the color range is outrageous. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but this is definitely something that should be expanded on very quickly because it's, yeah, like I said, it's a little outrageous that there's only 8 shades. I also think that you're going to go through this foundation quite quickly. I ended up using in between 4 and 6 pumps for my face because I did want a little bit extra coverage. So unless you're into really light coverage, you're going to go through this quite quickly because you're going to need quite a lot of it. Having said that, it did build really well and it ended up having a really nice finish. The concealer I wasn't so much of a fan of, not just because the colour was wrong, but for me it just didn't have enough coverage. I'm not sure if you're able to see, but the packaging has also worn off and it's left black marks all over my hands. So the concealer itself isn't like a bad concealer, it's not a useless concealer, but for these under eyes, I need a little bit more coverage. It's also now at the end of the day looking a little bit cakey and a little bit dry under my eyes. The Life Proof, what's it called again? Super Set Invisible Pressed Powder. Loved. I think it really was the difference between a average skin day and a great skin day. I didn't use very much of it, but it just worked to really lock everything in. As I said, there's also the loose powder version, same price I believe, and I imagine it works just as well, but so far throughout the week I had been using it with a brush. I'm going to try using this with a sponge the same way that I did use this and see if I have the same results. One last thing to mention is that, as you can see in this photo here, it did not have any mega flashback, any ghost face or anything like that. It actually did quite well with a very strong flash in the face. Alright, so final verdict is that I actually quite like the foundation. It's an absolute yes from me. However, if you are of a medium to dark skin tone, I wouldn't even bother looking at it because there's nothing there for you, unfortunately. It's quite a shame. You can check out all of this range in MECCA Maxima stores. You can find it online. I'll leave some links down below. So everything is available at this moment, and I can't wait to see what MECCA comes up with next. Personally, for me at the moment, I can't wait to get this makeup off and have a shower and go to bed. I hope you've enjoyed this video or at least learned something new. As usual, thanks so much for watching and thanks for visiting my little corner of the internet. I'll catch you next time. Bye.